Hey guys, welcome back to another new video. And on today's video, I'm going to do something totally different I've never done on my channel before. I'm a big football guy. I love football. Falcons are my pro football team. Gators are my college team. But I've gotten into fantasy football for probably the last 8 years. And I really enjoy it. I've won a few championships and everything. I have my own league, and that's kind of what I want to talk about today. I want to actually just go over my new draft for this year. We just had it yesterday, so therefore I'm going to break it down and everything. These players and everything, and I'm just going to try to talk about a fantasy football once a week video, and see how that goes. I'm not really big on if it gets views or not. We'll see if it does or not, and how people take to it. Some people on my channel may actually be sports fans and fantasy football players themselves. So I'm going to break down my draft and everything and go over everything with you. And I think what I'll do is I'll just kind of continue with a weekly video of fantasy football and see how that goes. I will still continue to do the same videos I've always done before, so those will still be here. But let's just go into this and see how this goes. First of all, let me break down my league because you might be looking at the screen and you're like, what the fuck? Okay, so my league is a keeper league. You keep a player from last year. Now, my difference this year was could not keep the same keeper you had the previous year. So that's the reason why, like Christian McCaffrey, for instance, is available for draft this year. So this whole top row is all the keepers that we selected for our league. The person who lost the league, he kept Gurley, and then we had Devontae Adams, and then we had Patrick Mahomes, Saquon Barkley, Mike Evans, um, Tyreek Hill. I kept Travis Kelsey because I had kept Dalvin Cook the previous year, then Derrick Henry, and then Nick. No, I'm sorry, James Conner, and then Le'Veon Bell. So those were the keepers because, like I said, they could not select any keeper that they had before. So like the big names like McCaffrey, Elliott, Michael Thomas, all those guys were available for draft this year. Also, if the person did not show up for our live draft, they would end up getting a kicker in the first round because it's not fair for an auto draft and you're not there, and all of a sudden now you get the best player on the board. Like for instance, first pick would have been McCaffrey. So Harold, who is on our board, he would have got McCaffrey right out of the gate, and that's not really too fair. So the first pick gets a kicker. So therefore, that's what's happening here. So that's what happened in my draft. The first two picks off the board was Justin Tucker and Harold and Harrison Butker because they were the best kickers on the board, and they go to the people who did not show up, and that was the first two people. So the next person up, of course, he took McCaffrey. McCaffrey was number one overall, and he should be. He was just a fantasy stud last year. I had him in one of my other leagues. I fell short. I lost the first round of the playoffs, just like I did in my own league last year. I have won my league 2 out of the last 4 years, and I've been to the championship 3 out of the last four. So just so you know, I know what I'm talking about. McCaffrey went first, technically, and then Elliott went next, which is kind of where I've seen him anyway. That's actually my rankings as well, is McCaffrey and Elliott. I'll probably do a separate video on rankings and everything, how I feel. Next up was George Kittle. He actually went pretty high, and actually Tony, who took him, that was a huge surprise because tight ends, they go very quick. Last year, I mean, they went one right after the other last year in the top ones. And I'd already kept Kel, so he took Kittle, so he's going to take a chance. Next up was Michael Thomas to kind of compare. He's going to complement his Tyreek Hill great. But that's what Aaron took. I took Julio Jones as my first overall pick because I'm an Atlanta fan. I never really get Julio. It never comes to me because I'm always one of the last ones to pick anyway. So therefore, I took Julio. But so, and I had questions. I was going to take Kamara here, but I decided not to. I wanted Julio. I've been eyeing Julio, so that's kind of where I wanted. And I feel where Kamara went, Julio would have went there, and therefore would have been. I would have had Kamara. He would have had Julio, and I don't think the draft would have been only. It would not have been any different at that point. Next up was Nick Chubb. He went right after me to go. He took Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb. Basically, he's already following exactly the way he did last year. The next pick was Will Lutz because of the fact that he was not there for the draft, so he gets a kicker. Okay, then the champion who won, he took Alvin Kamara to compare with to go with Le'Veon Bell, and then he back to back with Kenyon Drake. So he took running backs out of the gate and everything, which is good picks. I mean, I can't blame him. I can't believe Kamara fell as low as he did, but I didn't take him and no one else did. All right, coming back around, went auto draft was Dalvin Cook, which I'm kind of not on board with him this year. I had him last year. He did great for me. I appreciate it, but he is very injury prone, and I just don't think he's going to stay up all 16 games this year if we have 16 games. Next up was Aaron Jones, which I kind of seen him taking him because, like I said, Henry, Chubb, and Jones is who he had last year, and he took the same players, and he is a Packer fan. Then I took Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which is the rookie in Kansas City, as the running back, with Damian Williams basically opting out for the season. Why? This is like a huge pickup for me. But the thing is, for me, is I don't usually go with rookies, so therefore it's kind of shocking that I actually did take him. But I feel he is going to be a fantasy stud, and usually the top rookie running back usually is every single year, so why not? Then Eckler went after me, which I do have. I have things for Eckler. I think he would have been a good one. Joe Mixon, I had him last year. I didn't really want to see him. I didn't want to have him again, so he went next. Then DeAndre Hopkins went. Then Chris Godwin went, which is actually pretty shocking that he went lower because we're in Florida. I figured Bucks would go off the board first. I actually even had Tom Brady going in first round. It was what I kept mocking, but kind of surprised me on how this draft went. And then, of course, we go into the auto drafts of Miles Sanders, Galladay, DJ Moore, and then Allen Robinson, which I was not high on any of those players, so therefore they can all go as far as I care. And then, of course, now we get into those tight ends, and they start going. Ertz was the first. The guy's an Eagle fan. I can see him taking him. Mark Andrews, I do have him ranked higher, but he went in very next, which basically now gets rid of all the top tight ends on the board except for probably Waller, which, as you can probably see, he did go in the next round. Then Josh Jacobs was sniped right before me. I was really wanting Josh Jacobs here in this round. I figured he'd get back to me, but he did not. And, yep, he took Jacobs to go with Mixon on me and forced my hand coming up. Then Lamar Jackson, who a lot of people, I even had him probably going in the first round as well, did not go in the first round and fell all the way down to the third one. So I can't believe that. And, to the guy who takes quarterbacks first, that's all on them. At this point, like I said, I wanted Josh Jacobs. I wanted another running back, but I was like, can't really see myself. I didn't like who was on the. I feel everybody who I wanted, I could wait on. So I went with one of the top type wide receivers here, with Amari Cooper, because I was like, to go with Jones, that was a great pair up. So that's kind of what I went with. Then, of course, Tom Brady went next. He had Tom Brady as his quarterback last year, so why not? And, of course, now with him in Tampa. Then Adam Thielen went autoed. And then the guy who won the league, he took Drew Brees as his quarterback. He usually does take Brees. He likes Brees and Rodgers, so kind of surprised me. He didn't take Rodgers, but he took Brees. Then he took Cooper Kupp. Then auto draft Juju Smith. I can't even say it. Juju went next in the autoed. And then Tyler Lockett went before me. And then at this point, I was like, okay, where do I need to go? I was like, well, I got my two receivers. I wanted to take the best person that was probably on the board. I didn't need a tight end. And then I was looking at the receivers, I was like, well, maybe some of these other ones can fall to me that I'm really wanting. Chris Carson was just screaming at me at this point as a good running back to compare with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I felt like some of the other running backs like Fournette, Gordon, and David Johnson, and even Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram, I was really looking at. I wanted him, but I felt like those I could maybe possibly sneak and get later. On my back around, and so I took Chris Carson since he was the best one on the board at this point, which gave me my two running backs and my two receivers, and then of course I got my tight end keeper. So I was already pretty good on all those. Then of course Waller went next, then followed by Diggs, Ridley, Beckham, and then the auto drafts to Sutton, Fournette, David Johnson, and Melvin Gordon. That sucked when you lose all three of those running backs all to auto draft, because that just took the huge chunk of the board when it came to running backs, and that just sucked. Um, and then of course it was coming back around to me. Mark Ingram went next, and that one was another snipe on me because, like I said, I was hoping Mark Ingram was a little lower, and I was expecting him to come back to me, and I would have grabbed him with my next pick. So that does blow on that part. And then, of course, then you see another running back come off the board. Then DK Metcalf, Kareem Hunt, which I'm really not big on. Kareem Hunt will do good, I think, but Chubb's going to eat into a lot of his stuff. So once again, come back to me. This is probably more likely for my flex position. I really like running 3 running back sets, but this time I was like, Robert Woods was the one screaming at me as the best player on the board, so I took him. I didn't really like some of the other running backs. I felt like I could get David Montgomery and Swift later, and I actually did get Montgomery later, and I was sniped on Swift. But that's kind of where we were running this. And then, of course, Goddard went. Then A.J. Brown was autoed. Higbee, Hilton, Deshaun Watson went as far as auto, because at this point, that when you're on auto, it has to start filling your team. So he got the best quarterback on the plate. So when Deebo Samuel went next. So at this point, I know auto draft is coming around to the end. If I want a quarterback, a top tier quarterback, I need to grab one right here. I was wanting Kyler Murray. I believe in Kyler Murray that he'll be the Lamar Jackson of this year. But I felt since Dak was still on the board, Dak is playing for money. Dak is going to be great. He was the number 3 ranked quarterback, so why not? So I took Dak here. And to be honest, usually I take my quarterback. The last few years, I've taken my quarterback like 3rd, 4th round. This year, I knew I had to wait. It was because of the running back pool was very light. Receivers a little deep. Quarterback is way deep. You can get a good quarterback late. And I usually get Matt Ryan because I don't get Julio. So since I got Julio, I knew I could wait a long time. So I took Dak here. Now I'm not going to keep going through the whole list. As you did see, Murray and Wilson and Josh Allen all did go after me. So therefore it's like, wow. So I'm kind of glad I took Prescott where I did. And like I said, I took Montgomery here. Now I'm just going to break down what my picks were, because Swift got swiped before me as well on this one, as well did Akers a little bit later. But the thing is, those were like rookie ones I was taking chances on anyways. So the rest of my team was, I went with Marquise Hollywood Brown. I think he's number 1 receiver in Baltimore. I think he'll do great. I went ahead and took a defense next because of the fact that everybody was starting to take defenses at this point. And the thing is, I wanted a good tier defense. Chicago was still on the board. Some of the ADPs that I'm seeing, they have Chicago ranked pretty high, and why not? They got Khalil Mack. So I'm going to take Chicago, and I feel I can run with them for the most of the year, unless I need to stream somebody. I went ahead and took James White. I believe, he's going to be the only New England running back that you would want in anything. And then I got Jordan Howard, which is the number 1 running back in Miami. I got him for a good steal as well, but Miami ain't going to be shit. And then I went ahead and took my backup quarterback at this point, which is another good quarterback, I believe. I think he'll do great, and that's Cam Newton. I think he's going to surprise people. So it's kind of weird that I don't have my Matt Ryan on my team, but it's fine. I needed someone that was on a different bye week than Prescott. So I only might stick Cam in there once, but usually my second quarterback does better than my first. Last year it was Lamar Jackson. I got him in the 11th round, and he ended up being my starter the entire year. So, and then of course my league is a little deeper only because of I went ahead and put 2 bench spots because of COVID. We don't know the health and injuries and stuff for people, so it went a little deeper, and I got a few good players, but I'm overall happy. Ranked on ESPN on the on my draft, I'm projected to win the league, so here's hoping that I will. Let me know what you guys think of this video and my draft, and like I said, I will keep doing a couple of draft videos. ADP videos and stuff like that for next few weeks, and we'll see how it goes. Thank you for if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe, and until next time, guys.